If you're just joining us this morning, we have been in a summer series in the book of Proverbs chapters 1 through 9, and today is the last day. Oh, I love it when you groan when I say that. I don't know, some of you. So we wrap up this morning as we turn to Proverbs 9. We started this series 11 weeks ago, beginning of June, by acknowledging something that I think is common knowledge to all of us, and that is that life is full of hard questions. Do we agree there this morning? Life is full of hard questions. I mean, there are the big questions of life. What is the meaning of life? Where does free will begin and end, if there is some? Ooh, there's some fun, that's right. Where did the dinosaurs go? My granddaughter asked me that this summer. There are big questions of life. There are questions that culture invites us to think about. This will make some of you move to the front of your pew. Gender questions, immigration questions, just war questions, all questions that we're not going to answer here this morning. And then there are personal questions, right? How do we love those who think differently about those questions from us? How do we forgive those who have hurt us? What are we living for? And then there are questions that you never thought about, but after today, they'll stick with you forever. Why do we park on driveways and drive on parkways? Why, when you blow in the face of a dog, he hates it, but when you put him in a car and roll down the window, he sticks his head out the window? And then my favorite, this is new to me, I just got this one this week. How does that piece of corn make it through your whole body and still look as good coming out as it did going in?
Please tell me that was a child that asked that question.
I told you there's some things that will stick with you forever. There's somebody that's all they're going to get out of today, but I hope not. Life is filled with lots of good questions, but where do we get answers, right? Maybe more as we make decisions in life. Is there really a place, listen, to find absolute wisdom? Truth. You say, well, there's Google, AI. Some of you are not familiar with what I'm talking about. We'll go to you. Britannica Encyclopedia. The Bible. Does the Bible have answers for all of life's questions? Well, we've been in Proverbs, and we've said that Solomon wrote Proverbs, right, to anyone who will listen in order to give practical skills for living well in God's world. God made the world. He has the answers for the world. So indeed, we look to God for that truth, for that absolute wisdom. So while we might not find answers to the corn questions in Proverbs, there are answers in Proverbs that can help us a great deal. And our study this summer, time and time again, came down to two thoughts. If you learn nothing from the summer series from the book of Proverbs, learn the two thoughts of Proverbs, that you avoid what? Foolishness, and you run towards wisdom. Avoid foolishness and pursue wisdom. Proverbs chapters 1 through 9, the chapters we've preached through this summer, are a really long introduction to a book filled with what we would call today tweets, right? Chapters 10 through 29 have these little sayings throughout them. They're sayings of wisdom, short sayings that provide ongoing help in discerning foolishness from wisdom so that we could avoid foolishness and pursue wisdom. We're not going to preach through all of those chapters. Some of you have read them this summer in the summer study. But I want to encourage you to read them if you haven't. And notice that most of the time, you will read one of those tweets and you'll say, I knew that. Right? That makes sense. But the real question is, why have I often not lived that out in my life? Why, when I know what is wise, I do what is foolish? And maybe if there's a really important question to end with here in Proverbs 9, it's that. Why, when I know what is wise, I do what is foolish. If you have your Bibles, turn to Proverbs chapter 9 this morning. If you don't, that's okay. In the pews in front of you, there's a black Bible, page 533. You will find Proverbs 9, or your electronic devices as well. And we're going to see that we are faced with a final battle here between Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly. We've seen them both, but here in chapter 9, it's like an old Western, you know? You can hear the music. What's that from? I looked for it so that I could play it and not have to sing it. What is it?
I think it's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is. I should have known that. Anyhow, you hear the music, right? Here they are, Lady Wisdom, Lady Folly. Here's the final showdown. But I want you to see, it's not as if one of them will lose and one of them will win. Rather, the question of Proverbs 9 that, it's good to have great sound guys in the booth, right? That's good. Ooh, that's great. The question is not which one will win, but which one will you choose, right? So turn to Proverbs 9, and let's read the whole chapter and come back to just 2 points this morning, though they are long points, to see the battle and to see you in it. Proverbs chapter 9. This is the word of God. May we hear it, know it, understand it, that we might live it. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beast. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her young women to call from the highest places in the town. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I've mixed. Leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will still be wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. The woman of folly is loud. She is seductive and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house. She takes a seat on the highest places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. May God help us in the understanding of his word. Do you see it? Do you see the battle? Listen, while chapters 1 through 8 have moved back and forth and talking about Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly, they seem to come face to face here in chapter 9. If you imagine it, in one corner is Lady Wisdom, verses 1 through 6. She lives in a house that has 7 pillars. Let's just stop there for a moment. In a house that has 7 pillars. Pillars, and the number of them, have significance. Pillars in the day of Solomon are found only among the wealthy and even more so the influential. And the more that you had, the more influence that you had. And Lady Wisdom had how many pillars? 7. Bible scholars, tell me why that is important. What's the importance of the number 7 in the Bible? It has perfection, it's completeness. Right? When you see the word or the number 7, you often think of the reality of this sense of perfection. Lady Wisdom has it going on. There is literally nothing missing from her. That's what this says. Beyond this, I believe that these pillars are to make us think of the temple of Solomon, the one that he has just built. And that temple was the dwelling place of whom? Of God. When there's a question that you're not sure, just always say God in church. You're usually going to get it. Yeah, it's the dwelling place of God. Literally, Lady Wisdom is the dwelling place of God. And as we know from the New Testament, we see that she is fulfilled in the person even of Jesus. We talked about this some last week, that the sense of wisdom is not just something that God has, it is the very character and nature of God. And I think that's shown in this picture. And what does Lady Wisdom offer in her house? Nothing but a great meal. Plenty of protein in the slaughtered beasts. Lots to drink of fine wine is set at her table. And this too is of biblical proportions. Often the goodness of God is described in feast. You want to go some places this week? Isaiah 25, Isaiah 55, both talk about feasts and the goodness of God. Consider the parable of the feast in Matthew 22, or even that familiar phrase found in Psalm 34:8, come, taste, and see, what? That the Lord is good. By the way, Cornerstone Cafe down the street, that's their little theme. I'm not getting anything for this, but they're great people with great food, and they love Jesus. Come, taste, and see that the Lord is good. The final picture of Lady Wisdom is her young women calling from the high places to all who are simple, who are naive, who are wandering, to me. And they're saying, turn in here and discover the way of insight. It is a glorious picture and an amazing invitation. In the other corner is Lady Folly, verses 13 through 18. She has one similarity with Lady Wisdom, and one similarity only. It's what she says. She sits in the high places and calls out to all who go by. Whoever is simple, whoever is naive, let him turn in here. Other than that, she cannot be more different. She is loud. She is seductive. And while Lady Wisdom seems to be complete with the truth, Lady Folly is said to know, listen to this, nothing. Nothing. She too offers a meal, but it's prison-like. It's bread and water. And not only is it insufficient, it's stolen. And it's meant for secret consumption. The meal is not meant for an open consumption. It's not an invitation to a meal, but it is private because it's deceptive. It deceives as something good, but ultimately it brings death. It is only once you go into her house that you realize that death fills the house. Like a few weeks ago, we see a cemetery out back, all the victims of foolishness, with the epitaph that says, I thought I was stronger. The picture goes one step further even. It says that those entrapped by Lady Folly are headed to hell. A massive battle. But it is not your typical MMA battle where they leave their corners and fight. Actually, that's in Revelation 17 and 18. You should go check that out. That's really cool. Ends well. But here in Proverbs 9, the battle is not with one another for these two women. Their battle is over you. It's over me. And this morning, more than anything, I want us to see ourselves in the ring, in the midst of the battle. There you are, you stand. You stand in the middle of the ring, and you understand that there's struggles in life, whether that's the struggle with looking at your phone over your family, whether that's a struggle of knowing that you're smarter than your colleague and struggling to act in humility to help rather than in pride to lord over. It's when you can feel the battle between selfishness and the reality of the calling to lay down your life for a friend. It's the battle to lust after someone that you don't even know or love the gift of a spouse that God has given you. It is the struggle of running after things that self-glorify or the things that glorify God. You know this place. You know your struggle. Listen, if you back away from the battle, the decision seems to be easy here in Proverbs 9. Lady Wisdom has so much to offer, even eternal life. While it is obvious that Lady Folly is all fluff and eventual death. But then why the battle? If it seems so obvious, right? That wisdom is certainly the way to go. Why is the battle? Why is there even a second thought between a steak and some Chardonnay over some moldy bread and water? It made me mindful this week of another passage. It's in Deuteronomy 30. I won't have the whole thing on the screen, but if you want to turn there, you can. Deuteronomy 30, verses 11 through 20. Here's the context. You remember probably bits and pieces of this story. God's people are in slavery in Egypt for 400 years, but God miraculously delivers them. He brings them to the Red Sea, and they think they're doomed again, but indeed he parts the Red Sea, and they pass on dry land. In the days, of the weeks, and the months to come, He'll provide for them food and water. He'll provide for them even more so a law that gives them the right standards, the right guidelines in which to live. He's even appeared to them in some regards on Mount Sinai, and the people have trembled, and they essentially say, God, you say it, we'll do it. But there's still this battle. In fact, it's a battle that leads God to say this through Moses. For this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It's not in heaven that you should say, who will ascend to heaven for us and bring it to us that we may hear it and do it. Verse 13 of Deuteronomy 30. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart so that you can do it. God is saying, listen, the way to wisdom is easy. It's there. It's yours. See, I've set before you today life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God that I commanded you today by loving the Lord your God, by walking in His ways, and by keeping His commandments and His statutes and His rules, then you shall live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. But if your heart turns away, and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall surely perish. You shall not live long in the land that you are going over the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life, that you and your offspring may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying His voice and holding fast to Him. For He is your life and length of days, that you may dwell in the land that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. If it's so easy, why does God have to make it so apparent and set out the ramifications of both? If it's so easy, why did the people of Israel, not long after this, even somewhat before this, choose poorly? Because there's a battle, a struggle. It's a battle and a struggle that we know ourselves. Paul, the Apostle Paul, says it pretty famously in Romans 7. Romans 7, verse 15, I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing that I hate. And then again in 19, for I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. I don't think I'm alone in the struggle. I think this word today is relevant for all of us, that we find ourselves in the ring, and while the answer seems so easy to run after wisdom, we are often found running after foolishness. Do you feel that battle for your soul? Why is it so hard? I'm going to tell you. That's why you came today. I think Solomon tells us in these middle verses, it's because we are scoffers. I didn't say Stauffers, I said scoffers. Listen, I struggled this week to understand why Solomon throws this proverbial soliloquy in the middle of this battle between Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly. Did you hear it? There's Lady Wisdom through the first 6 verses, and then 7 through 12 is this thing about scoffers and wisdom. Why? How does that fit? Here's my thought. That he's simply pointing to me in the middle of the battle. Why do I regularly lean into Lady Folly's deceptive snares of sin rather than doing what I know is right? It is because my heart is hard. And I really don't want to hear what is right, which is the definition of a scoffer. And I believe Solomon writes it in a way that says, beware of the scoffer. Not that we should go looking for other scoffers out there in the world, but beware of the scoffer in ourselves. When we get in touch with our scoffer self, this sounds familiar. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse. When we reprove the wicked man in us, we will incur injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. When God leans in to help in a place that I don't want his help, when God leans into a place where I don't think I need his help, look out. And when God has others who love me lean in to correct me, redirect me, and I don't want their help or think that I need it, Katie, bar the door. And Solomon is saying, you want to know why there's a battle for you between Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly? It's because of the hardness of your hearts. It's because we are scoffers. So Solomon is saying this. You can tweet this later. Stauffer, don't be a scoffer. It applies to a few of us. And instead, in this text, Solomon says this in proverbial form, rather, be wise. Be wise. Because when you reprove the wise man, what does this text say? He loves you. When you give instruction to a wise man, he's going to even be wiser because he's going to listen and apply. When you teach a righteous man, he's going to increase in learning. Then the secret sauce saying of the Proverbs, you want to be wise? Surrender to God. Surrender to his laws for your life. Lean into Lady Wisdom. Lean into the scriptures. Lean into the Spirit that speaks to you about wisdom, because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Remember, this is not a boogeyman fear. It's not a fear that causes you to run from it, but it's an amazing and reverent fear that causes you to run to it. Lean into God. Know of his love, and you will find wisdom, and you will run to her corner. I read this week a helpful thought as we head to the close. Ray Ortlund, when talking about this battle that we are in, reminds us that we are not a clean slate. We are not a clean whiteboard. We're not in neutral in fighting this battle. We are infected with sin. Even at birth, as a result of original sin, Adam and Eve, Genesis 3, the apple, the fruit, right? We are given to the nature of sin. Us good reformers love to call it total depravity. You can talk about this at the water cooler this week. It's the reality, not that everything we say, do, or think is sin, but everything we say, think, and do is tainted by sin because of original sin. And it causes us to lean toward folly. It's almost a head start for her corner, even when her corner doesn't make sense. But, and this is the beauty of the gospel, Jesus came. He died for that sin. He rose again in victory over death. He ascended into heaven and now even intercedes for you and for me at the right hand of God that we might be called righteous. And this morning, I want us to remember this gospel. Jesus came and He took our sin and He gave us righteousness. That God has given us an incredible gift of faith that we might, not on our own initiative, not on our own power, but by His gift of faith that we might believe, that we might know that He is good and that His ways are right. And it flips the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, hear it. It flips the ring. We are given the power to turn from scoffer in order that we might be wise. From sinner to saint, we have access now to and are empowered for Lady Wisdom to have her way in us. But way too often, we neglect to remember this gospel. We fail to lean on this gift of faith. And though we are tethered to and are empowered for Lady Wisdom to have her way, we try to run to Lady Folly. Though we are inclined to righteousness, we lean to the prison that we've been freed from. Do you find yourself in the middle of the ring and yet feel yourself being drawn by Lady Folly? I have a prayer for you, for me. Lord, give me faith to trust what you say, to trust that you're good, to trust that your love is great. Lord, I'm broken inside, but I give you now my life. I surrender it all. Lord, I don't want to be a scoffer. I want to be wise. We entitled the series, Walk Wisely. Maybe that can be misunderstood to mean that we have to just make better decisions, just do better, just be better. And there's some truth to that, but it's not that alone. I hope you can see clearly that Solomon lays a groundwork for making good decisions by trusting God more. And what Solomon doesn't know is that what wisdom he speaks of is Jesus. And so when he tells us to run to wisdom, the ways of God, he ultimately tells us this morning to run to Jesus as the one who has made that way. The gospel. Listen, maybe you're here this morning and you've never truly surrendered your life to Jesus. And the battle is real for you because you've never received that lifeline that God has been sending you. I would love for nothing else, nothing more than to invite you to receive the invitation of Jesus to have him take your sin and give you righteousness. To cut your tethered line to Lady Folly in order that you might receive the reality of that lifeline from Lady Wisdom. To receive and understand that Jesus indeed loves you, and because he loves you, died for you, rose for you, ascended to heaven for you, and sits on the right hand of God today to intercede for you, to send his Spirit to you, that you indeed would have an understanding of what is right and the power to do it for his glory. Many of you are here, and you know already that you're tethered to Jesus. But the battle is no less real over your life. Can I just remind us to remember the gospel, to remember that Jesus has died for us, rose for us, ascended for us, sits at the right hand of God to intercede for us, and to pray, Lord, give me faith to believe all the more what I already know, that you love me, that your way is right, that I might not be fooled and deceived by foolishness, and that I might always run to wisdom. Listen, it might even be a specific circumstance that you wrestle with today. It's clear to you in that match what is wise. But foolishness draws you, looks good. May we together taste and see and know that only the Lord is good, and to run after him.